Hello, welcome back. I got another one. I'm like throwing out these Valentines videos. So hi, welcome back to my channel. I put out a vote on Instagram and Discord and TikTok about who you guys like to see next and who would be my next free pattern. And you guys picked the cheeky donut. I think it's super cute. He's got like little heart sprinkles on, and I thought it would be such a cute pattern for Valentine's Day. I tried to get it out really quickly, so there's still more than enough time to make these. These work up pretty quickly. I think the most tedious part is sewing them together, but I think they're super cute. It's a pretty easy pattern. I teach you how to make the little hearts on top, and then we go into actually making the donut. So hopefully you guys like this pattern. I'm not gonna waste too much time chit-chatting at the beginning of my videos like I always do. So I'm just gonna get right into the materials. I hope you guys like it. As always, the pattern is down in the description, and I also post the pattern on Ribbler with a link to this YouTube tutorial. So if you're here, I mean, you're here already, but anyways, I hope you guys like the pattern, and let's get started. So let's talk materials first. So this is the 3 different kinds of yarns that we're using. I swear the Chenille Home Slim and the Sweet Snuggles Light are the exact same. No idea what the difference is. But either way, these are both size 6 yarns. It recommends an 8.0 millimeter hook for them, but we are going to be using a 6.0 millimeter hook. So I have a color in white here, and then this color is Seed Pearl. Wow, I wouldn't call that Seed Pearl, but anyways, it's like a beigey kind of color. And so this white is going to be for the top half, the icing half, and this is going to be for the actual like donut color. You can choose whatever colors you want if you want to do like pink icing or whatever. And then we have like a pink color of size 4 yarn. So this is Paint Box Simply Erin, and I think it's in bubblegum pink if I'm remembering my colors correctly, but anyways, the color is 250. And so this is going to be for the little hearts that we're going to add. If you don't want to add the hearts, you just don't need this at all. You just need these 2. Okay, so moving on, we are also going to need a little bit of black thread. This is crochet thread. I think it's size 10, I don't know, just like a thick thread. Or you can use embroidery floss, that works just as well, or you can use black yarn. Honestly, this is just for the mouth, so you just need like the tiniest piece of it. So then we have 12 millimeter safety eyes. I have the backings here as well, but if you don't want to use the backings, you can just like glue them in with fabric glue or crazy glue or something like that. But we've got the safety eyes. And then moving on to our tools. So we're going to be using 2 hooks today because we have 2 different sizes of yarn. So we have a 6.0 millimeter hook, and then we have a 3.0 millimeter hook. We are also going to need some scissors, a yarn needle big enough for the yarn that you're using, and a stitch marker. And then you're also gonna need a heck of a lot of stuffing, like a lot. So you can like destroy one of your other projects or use pillow filling or scraps of yarn, but just because this guy is pretty chunky, we're gonna need lots of polyester fiber fill. This is not nearly enough. Okay, so let's start with our little hearts first. So the hearts are going to be made using the size 4 yarn in the pink color or whatever color you choose. And to start, we're going to make a magic circle. And the way that I make my magic circle is by pinching with the yarn tail, wrapping around my fingers so that there's 2 lines there. And then what I do is I go underneath and pick up that yarn that's coming from the ball of yarn. So the way that I think about it is if I go like this, I just make a slip knot, right? So the magic circle is just an advanced slip knot. So we're gonna do that again to make the actual magic circle. So around and like behind, so like I've crossed over and behind this first one, and then pick up that yarn, pull to the back with your fingers, yarn over your hook while still pinching this loop, and pull through. So this makes like pretty much a chain, and this will anchor your magic circle. So now we are going to put our stitches in the magic circle. So I am asking you to do a magic circle of 5, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna put our single crochets in here, and we're gonna put 5 single crochets in there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, whoop. I split my stitch there, so I'm gonna go back. So I have 3, this is my 4th, and then 5th. So what we're gonna do to close off our magic circle now is just pull this short strand, and then it closes it up. So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take my stitch marker and just mark my last stitch. So this is just gonna help me in the end, but this is gonna be like really easy, really straightforward, just some different stitches, all in different in different stitches, if that makes sense. So just bear with me here. In the first single crochet that we made, we are gonna go in with our hook, we're gonna yarn under or over, and we're gonna pull and do a slip stitch into that stitch. Okay, so just a slip stitch into that first stitch. Then we're gonna do a half double crochet into that same stitch that we just slip stitch in. So half double crochet is yarn over or under the hook, into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all of the loops on your hook. So that was the half double crochet. Now we're gonna do a double crochet into the same stitch again. Double crochet, yarn over your hook, into the stitch, yarn over your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So then you have 1 loop left. And then in the exact same stitch again, we're going to do a half double crochet. So yarn over into the loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay? I know this is a little complicated, but you got this. Just go nice and slow. Now we're gonna move on to the next stitch over. So this is gonna be like the second single crochet that we did in our magic circle. And you're gonna go in and just single crochet. That's it. And then in the next stitch over, we're going to single crochet, and then I'm going to chain. And then in the same stitch that we single crocheted in, we're gonna go back and single crochet again. So it's kind of like an increase. Then in the next stitch over, we're gonna single crochet. And then in the last stitch that we have here, we are gonna do our half double crochet / double crochet combination again. So it's going to be half double crochet, and then in the same stitch you're gonna double crochet, go into the same stitch, and then into the same stitch again, we're gonna half double crochet. Okay, so now it looks super wonky, but that's totally fine. We're going to make a little bit of a tail here and cut the yarn, leaving like a couple of inches for sewing in later. Then you're gonna take your yarn needle and thread it on. I'm gonna pull this tight. So we have something like this. So now we need to just finish it off, and we're gonna do an invisible finish. And we're gonna do it into the slip stitch that we made. And it's kind of hard to tell what your slip stitch is, but you'll see like we'll have this kind of horizontal piece that goes across, and then we have like this bump. So this bump is like our half double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet. And we're gonna go into like, it's kind of like the only V stitch that you can see, and it's like after all of that. Does that make sense? So if you pull out that bump here, you'll see that we went into that last stitch, and then you'll see this little connecting stitch, and that's where we're gonna do our invisible finish. So to invisible finish, we're gonna go under both loops, like through the stitch with our yarn needle coming from towards you to away from you, and pull that through. Then you're gonna find your last stitch that you made. So you'll see your yarn coming from it here, right? So find the last stitch that you made, and you can find the front loop here and the back loop here. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the back loop like this and under this yarn. And that's it. And we're gonna just kind of pull it, not too tight, but just tight enough to like close it off. So that is our little heart. So you can go ahead and pause the video here, and you can make 7 more of these to give you a total of 8. If you don't want any of these, that's totally fine. I just think they're super cute to add. They're like little heart sprinkles. So once you're done, we'll put all of those off to the side because we won't need them for a little while. Okay, so moving on, we are going to take our beigey color, and we are going to take our 6mm hook here, so the chunkier hook. So we're going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to leave a fairly long tail here because we're going to use it to sew in later. So I'm going to leave, I don't know, that much. So we're just gonna leave a nice long tail for sewing in later. It's not a huge deal because you can just like attach on another yarn if you need, but I'm gonna leave that there, and then I'm gonna chain 18 stitches. And what I like to do is I'm gonna mark my first stitch here. Okay, so I did 1 chain stitch and I'm gonna mark it, and this is just gonna kind of help me out later. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there is my chain of 18. I'm gonna grab another stitch marker. I'm gonna take my other stitch marker, and I'm actually gonna mark this stitch as well as my last stitch. Okay, and then we're gonna take this and bring it into a circle. So try not to twist it. Try and like, here's my nice, hold on, let me organize all my yarn, my little tails here. Here's like my nice braid that I have, and I'm gonna like put it into a loop so there's no twisting. And then because I was able to like mark my stitch here, I'm gonna find that stitch so I don't have to work too hard at finding it, because I know it's here somewhere. And we're gonna go into that stitch and we are going to single crochet. There we go. So now I've marked like my last stitch with purple and my first stitch with blue. We can take away that blue marker now because we've already found our first stitch. I'm gonna take it away. And then we're gonna go into the next stitch over, and I'm gonna single crochet. And then into the next stitch over, I'm going to increase. So I'm gonna put 2 single crochets into 1 stitch. I gotta pull out some yarn here. So the 2 single crochets in 1 stitch is the increase. And now we have our combination that we formed. So our combination will be single crochet, increase. And we're gonna do that combination all the way around. So single crochet, single crochet, and then increase. And remember, we're not we're not like going through like all of the chain there. We're going through just like that top bump. So this is my increase. So we're going to continue on with our single crochet 2 and then increase 1, 2, then increase 1, 2, and then increase 1, 2, and then increase somewhere. Okay, almost all the way back around. Trying to find literally any of my stitches. One, 2, and then so I've marked my last stitch here. So I should have my last stitch somewhere here. Honestly, I can't really find it. So editing Megan here, I couldn't find it and I just went through a random stitch and I didn't increase. So it took me like forever to do that. So now we have this circle here. I am gonna take my stitch marker and mark my last stitch here, and we should have 24 stitches at the end of this round. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a count, starting from this like weird loopy thing, because this is like our connection loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. 24. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into this weird loopy with a single crochet. The next stitch is also going to be a single crochet, and the next stitch is also going to be a single crochet. So 3 single crochets and then an increase, and this is going to be our combination now. So 1, 2, 3, increase. We're gonna do it again. 1, 2, 3, and then increase. Then we're gonna do it again. 1, 2, 3, and then increase. And again. 1, 2, 3, and increase. So we're gonna do this combination of single crochet 3 and increase all the way around, and it should be 6 times total. Okay, so now we've increased 6 times total, so 24 stitches plus 6 stitches will be 30 stitches at the end of this round. Round 3 is going to be a similar combination, except we're going to single crochet 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase into the 5th stitch. And we're gonna do that combination 6 times total. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 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 then increase. Okay, so that is the end of round 3, and we should have 36 stitches at the end of this round. So round 4 will be single crochet 5 and then increase. So single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increase. We're gonna do that again 6 times around total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increase. A little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, 5, and then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then last one is increase. So at the end of round 4, we should have 42 stitches. If you want to pause and give it a count after each row, that's totally fine. Okay, almost done increasing. So round 5, I hope I got all of the round names right. So round 5 is going to be single crochet 6 and then increase. So you can kind of see the pattern that we're doing. So single crochet 6, and then we're going to increase into the 7th, and we're going to do that 6 times around. So we're adding 6 stitches total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then increase. So we've done that 6 times around, and now we have 48 stitches at the end of this round. Okay, so now you'll have something like this. Okay, And for the next 4 rounds, so rounds 6 through 9, we are just going to single crochet around like for 4 rounds. So you'll have 48 stitches per round, and you're gonna do that 4 times. So it's pretty boring to watch me just straight single crochet all the way around. So I'm gonna get you guys to pause here and then do the 4 rounds, and then we'll meet back up after we've both done 4 rounds of straight single crochet, 48 stitches per round, okay? Okay, be right back. Okay, so I just finished up crocheting my 4 rounds of straight single crochet, and I made my way back to the beginning. So this is what we've got. So this is like the inside, this is the outside. It looks a little bit weird right now, but essentially it's like kind of a circle. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up a nice long string here, and I'm going to cut and pull out that loop, and this is what we've got. And what we're gonna do is we're going to invisible finish into the next stitch over. So we did an invisible finish on the hearts, but we're going to do an invisible finish on here too, just to kind of like round off this section here. So you can see that this was the last stitch that I went into, and if we were going to continue crocheting along, we would go into this one, right? And all we're going to do is we're going to put our needle through and pull all of that yarn through. And then in the last stitch that we made, we are going to separate our front loops and back loops again. So this is our front loop right here. So that's our front loop. And then this is our back loop. And we're going to go from the center outwards and underneath this piece of yarn and pull through. So there we go. We've got this. So what we're gonna do now is we are gonna put this one off to the side, and I'm gonna get you guys to go back and repeat this exact same pattern. So go back to the beginning of the section and repeat this exact same pattern, but in the icing color. So for me, I picked white, and I've already crocheted up, but you guys can pause and make the exact same thing in the other color. Okay, so give it a pause here and then come back when you have both of these made. And you're gonna do the same invisible bind off or finish in the white as you did the beige. The only thing is that you won't need as long of a tail on either one for the white version. So as long as you have long tails on one, you don't need long tails on the other. Okay, so I will meet you back once you are done. Okay, so once you have both of your halves crocheted up, we are gonna work on putting them together. And the way that we're gonna do that is by taking the piece and flipping it inside out so that we have the wrong side facing towards us. So this is the right side, and then this is the wrong side. So you can kind of see just texture difference. These have more vertical bars, and these ones kind of have more horizontal bars. So we're gonna flip both of them inside out. Okay, so they should look like this. And the next thing we're gonna do is, because we have our long tails on our beige, we are going to put the small holes together. Okay, and the way that we're gonna do that is by threading our smaller tail or our longer tail on the beige side. We are going to just sew this onto here. Okay, this can be like a little bit complicated, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of match the end piece to kind of the end piece over here. So we are gonna go into every single loop. So if you can see these like little bars and loops, we're gonna like sew each of these loops to these loops. So I'm just gonna pick a loop and pull through. And we're gonna go back and forth from white to beige to white to beige to connect them both. So I just went into the white, so now I'm gonna go into the beige. And then I'm gonna go into the white. And then I'm gonna go into the next beige loop over. So it's probably this one. Sometimes you need to kind of pull it out of the way and find a loop to go into. To a loop, into a loop. So you should have a matching number of loops. So each loop should have its own matching loop. Does that make sense? The unfortunate thing about fluffy yarn too is while you're sewing it, you could like lose these pieces, like little fluffs will start to fall off. And then it might get to the point where you have like a bare section of yarn on your sewing in yarn, and then it like gets caught and just awful things happen. And so in that case, which we'll probably encounter later when we're sewing in like the other half, we're gonna literally just put on a whole new thread. We'll like tie a whole new thread down or a whole new piece of yarn down, and then we'll just try and continue on with the new piece. So this can happen, especially if the longer your yarn is. I don't know, I haven't found a way to fix it. If anyone has any idea, feel free to let me know, because like yeah, that's a problem. It doesn't really happen with like the size 4 yarn because it's got no fluff, but all of this fluffy yarn, you start losing pieces and bits and whatever. I'm not gonna get too mad about it. Like, I think I might have 1 stitch left here. Yeah. I think I have a stitch left. There we go. Okay, mine worked out. Thank goodness. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the white yarn tail and I'm going to tie it to the beige yarn tail, so then it won't come out. Just a double knot here, and then that's fine. If you want to trim this tail, that's fine. I might just trim it right here just to get it out of the way. Okay, so now we are going to take a little break from sewing in. We're gonna kind of clean up some edges here, some fluff, and I'm going to turn this right side out. Okay, so this is gonna be like the outside of our piece, and essentially we're gonna sew these sections together. But before we do that, I kind of want to work on the face. So I'm gonna pick a side that's like the front. So because we've lined up our tails, both the tails should be on that side. Oh, got a scraggler there. Both the tails should be lined up over here. So I'm gonna make the face on this side. And I'm gonna kind of do it in between my increases. So I can see that like there's almost like a hexagon shape here, and these are going to be my increases right here. You can see that. Try and find your increases. If you can't, that's totally fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna count 3 rounds up from the bottom. So this is our last round here. So 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna put our eyes in between 3 and 4 from the bottom. So not from like you're starting. We're gonna put them 3 rounds up from the bottom. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna just like find a spot. Maybe I'll put it over here actually. I'm gonna find a spot. I'm just gonna select a random spot, and then I'm gonna count 6 stitches over, or 6 holes over. So I put it in between, essentially in between 2 stitches right here. And then I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm gonna put it in the 7th, right there. And then we're gonna take our backings, if you have backings. If you don't, that's fine, you can just glue them in. I'm gonna take my backings and push them on in. Sometimes I like to use backings, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just go for glue. So there are our eyes. And then we're gonna take our little piece of black yarn or black crochet thread, tapestry thread, whatever you got. And we're gonna find the middle stitches here. So the middle 3 holes, which are right here. So it should be like 1 away from the eyes. There. So you're gonna come out. And then you're gonna go 1, 2, 3 away. Boop. Just like that. So it should be on the same row, like in between rows as the eyes, the same spot that you put the eyes. And then we're gonna flip it the other way, and I'm just gonna tie this string together on the back side just so it doesn't come loose. I don't tie it too tight because then it like pulls the stitches together. So just like loosely, don't like yank it. All right, so we looking kind of cute now. And what we're gonna do is we are going to, again, sew in our piece together, okay? So we're gonna do something very similar to what we did with the center hole, except we're gonna try and make it a little bit more invisible. I'm gonna tuck this in here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in between stitches. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here so you can see what I'm talking about. We're gonna go in the center of the stitch. So it's easier to see on this beige piece, but like you see how there's the back loop and the front loop? We're gonna be going like under like this, essentially. So I'm gonna find a spot that I wanna start that kind of like naturally lines up, okay? And I'm gonna go into the white because I have the beige. I'm gonna go into the white into 1 stitch just in the center of it, kind of like picking up a back loop or a front loop. And then over, I'm gonna come out the middle of the next stitch over, okay? And you're gonna pull this through. So this is where we get a lot of shedding and where our yarn will probably break. So now that we've gone through the white, we're gonna go back to the beige and we're gonna start like as close as we can to where our yarn came off. So into the middle of the stitch and then out the next stitch over in the middle again. So there's our front loop, there's our back loop. So we're doing this so we don't have yarn that's like sticking out on either the white or the beige. Trust me, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then we're gonna go back. So where we came out of the white yarn with the beige, we're gonna go back into the center, okay? And out the next one over. So we're almost like overlapping. So see how, let me pull this a little bit. So see how we came out of this one right here? We went into the white. Now we're gonna go back into the one that it came out of and over 1. Make sense? So we're kind of like doubling back almost. So we're going into the one that has like the white or the beige coming out of it. Sorry, I'm like losing my words. Pulling through. Okay, so back to the beige, and over one. We're gonna be losing lots of thread here. Okay. And then we're gonna go back to the white. Okay, back to the beige. So remember, I'm gonna try and make this very clear. So it's coming out of this one, right? We've gone into the white and over one. Now we're gonna go back into the same spot that it's coming out of and then over to the left again, okay? And you're gonna do this on both sides. So both from like into the white, into the beige, you're gonna like be going to the same one that you came out of prior. I feel like I'm just saying a lot of words and probably no one knows what I'm talking about. It's just gibberish. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about rather than me saying out and in the white, in the beige. I don't know. But we're just like, this is the most tedious part because it's just like, it's like never ending. But you can see that it's like, I think it's called a mattress stitch, but it like closes this part up and it makes like a nice like seam. Does that make sense? You'll see it a little bit better, but yeah, maybe I should have just told you guys to do a mattress stitch and then you would have known what I'm talking about. Okay, we're gonna stop here. So you can see that like I'm losing a lot of fluff on my yarn needle. Don't move it. Don't move it. Don't like try and like shift this needle over to the right or to the left. Don't move it. The longer you keep it in the same spot, the better, because you're just gonna end up having it impossible to sew through. So just leave it. If we get to the point where we have to like cut the yarn, all you're gonna do is you're gonna like cut the yarn, leaving like a little bit at the end and tie on a new piece, and you're just gonna continue sewing it through. So with like a new piece of yarn, or you can like knot it to the piece and continue, but like the longer you leave it like this, the better. At least that's just what I've found. So I have about, I don't know, maybe 2/3, I don't know, just over half done, and we're going to stuff pretty much like in both directions, just this little area here. I'm gonna take a ton of my stuffing and I'm literally just gonna kind of throw it in on both sides here. It's gonna be wonky for a little bit and then it'll sort itself out. I promise. Just give a good stuffing, and you want like a good amount. Not too much that it's like busting out on this side or on the other side, but like a good amount. Because we're not going to be able to access this part of the donut once we've sewn up a lot more. We won't really have the opportunity to access this area. So just give it a good stuff until you like the shape of it, you like the squishiness of it, and then we can continue on. I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna continue stuffing because we only have a small hole left here. So for the remainder of this donut and sewing it up, I'm just gonna switch back and forth between sewing in and then stuffing. I just want to give it like a thorough stuffing. So I'm just gonna switch back and forth, but literally we're just kind of sewing all the way to the end. So I'm going to kind of speed along here and you can see me high speed stuff things in and then sew things in, and then I'll meet you back when I've got like one stitch left. we're just gonna like finally seam up the last little stitches here. All right, there we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna make a knot. Try and make like a small knot underneath one of your stitches. Just like that. And then I'm gonna tuck the yarn through and like try and like bring it out the beige side and pull it through, just like that. Okay, now you can give him a squish. Squish, squish, squish. Make sure he is all nice and even. And then you can trim your yarn tail. Okay, so there's a couple ways we can go about going from here. And we can just leave him as is. I think he looks cute. He's just a little white icing donut. You can leave him just like this. Or you can take the hearts that we've made and you can add cheeks. And you can glue them in if you want. Like, you don't have to sew them in if you like desperately hate sewing. You don't have to sew them in, you can just glue them. I glue a lot of things. And sometimes we don't have time for sewing. But in my case, I kind of want them to not fall off and be a little bit more secure. So I'm gonna add 2 for the cheeks, and then I'm gonna start kind of placing them around. And what I've done is I've kind of put the ones on top in like a circular form. So you'll see. I've kind of put 3 on top here. I always get all caught up in things being random. And then once it becomes like purposefully random, it just doesn't, I really don't know how to make things truly random. So I've kind of put these evenly in a circle here. For the rest of them, you should have 3 left. And I'm gonna kind of just place these in any direction in like kind of in between like the, what am I saying? In between here. So I'm just kind of like flipping and rotating as I go until I am happy with it. So this one will be pretty close to this one here, but that's okay. So if you don't like a position of one, you can just easily move it. So that's kind of how I position them. And I try and like pin them in the direction that I want them. So like I said, you can totally just glue them down and call it a day, but I'm gonna sew them in and I'm gonna show you how I sew them in. So we're gonna take the yarn coming from the middle of our magic circle, and I'm gonna kind of move one out of the way. Oh, that's not the right one. Okay, so we're gonna take the yarn that's actually coming from the middle, and I'm gonna kind of just use it as an anchor. And that's kind of where we're gonna position the heart. And then we're gonna take our yarn tail that's coming from the outside of the piece, and I'm gonna go like directly down and then out like just to the side of it. And we're gonna be going kind of up and down in between our stitches. Like my next stitch is gonna be right over here. And I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna go down again. And you don't have to do every single one. I just like to grab a couple. So I'll go up here and then down the one next and over a little bit. Try not to pull too tight because that might cinch everything too far. I keep on losing my thread. So just kind of like over, so it like hides your stitches in between the stitches. Does that make sense? And then just kind of pulling down. Like try not to stretch your yarn too much, because then it'll make your heart all lopsided, which isn't optimal, but like it isn't bad. Oh my god, I keep losing. Why? Okay. Last piece here. And then I am going to find the little stitch that we initially did, and I'm gonna go underneath it and make a loop to make a knot. Try to give it a little bit of a tighten, but not too much in order to make it like cinch. And then I'm gonna go through the piece, hide the yarn tail through the piece, and then we will trim it at the end. I don't like to trim it now until I'm like satisfied with like matching things. So like if I have to move it again, I totally can. So I'm gonna leave that like that for now. So this is the one yarn tail and this is the other yarn tail. I'm gonna go ahead and sew the rest of them in now. And yeah, this takes some time, so I'm not gonna do it on camera, but I will meet you back once I've sewn them all in. Okay? Okay, so I have just finished up sewing all of these in. All I have to do is trim all of these yarn tails now. Just make sure you've like knotted them at the end. That's super important. Just because I don't want them to fall off for you. But I'm literally gonna go and trim all of the ends here. And if it's not, like if it's turning into more of like a lump rather than like a heart, it could just because like we've pulled it in a direction too far. So if you have to go back and re-sew it, that's totally fine. Don't, I don't know, even some of mine look a little bit blobby and lumpy rather than hearts, but that's okay. I think it's all part of it. It's all cute. It's all good. Okay. Now, that's it. You're done. You're done with your little cheeky donut. It should be nice and squishy. If you have to squish it around a little bit to distribute the fluff, that's totally fine. I know, so in my Discord, a lot of people were saying, give it a butt. I really don't know how I would go about giving it a butt unless it's like right there. But I think I'm just gonna leave it for this time. I'm sorry, Discord. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. But there you go. You've made your little cheeky donut. Yes, it is cheeky because of his cheeks, not because he has a butt, okay? So hopefully you guys made it through and you made it to the end. I really hope you guys like this pattern. If you did, please give the video a like. Give me a tag at False Bubbles. I'm pretty much at False Bubbles everywhere now, except for Etsy. Etsy won't let me change my stuff. So anyways, if you liked the pattern, please let me know. And you know, we'll see if we do the heartworm, but I've kind of got some other things on the go. There's like, my shelf up here is like filling up, so I don't even know what I'm gonna do with all these stuffies. But I would love to see your little cheeky donuts if you do make one, so please show me. I would love to see it. I am trying to get more patterns out there and more free patterns out there, so hopefully you guys subscribe. If you don't, that's fine. If you want to join the Discord, I'm always hanging out in the Discord and looking for suggestions and, you know, taking your guys' feedback over there, and of course follow me on my socials. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.